The first week of games are in the books when it comes to the NJCAA, and in this week's episode I will go through all the games in District 16, or the Central District as it is now called, and we will talk about the slate of games for week 2. There was a lot, and I mean a lot of basketball to go through this week, so without further ado, let's jump into it. The Kaskaskia Blue Devils had a perfect opening week, going 3-0. They opened the season against Missouri Baptist, winning that game 110-26. Coach Hancock had 5 players, 4 of them starters, scoring in double digits, led by Jahi R. Jones with 19. Jalen Petty went 8 of 11, adding 18 points of his own. The scoring of 100-plus points continued in the second game as they beat the Oakland City team 102-57. A 55-point first half led the way, with 4 more Blue Devils scoring in double digits, but not more than 15 points. They really evened that out in the second game. Xavion Jackson led the way, shooting 6 of 11. Zyreek Dawson was impressive, shooting 6 of 7, adding 12 points as well. They finished the week with an 80-36 win against Blackburn College. And again, they went 3-0. That is very impressive for the first week. Congratulations, Coach Hancock. You guys did awesome. We're going to leave Centralia and head to Mattoon, where we find the Lakeland Lakers 1-0 on the week. The Lakers opened their season against a former district opponent and a former conference opponent in Southeastern Illinois College. The Falcons were no match in Mattoon as the Lakers handled home court, winning 98-77. Johnny Close shot 11 of 18 again. Holy moly. Leading the way for the Lakers with 29 points. Yassine Hassan had 21 as well. So 2 players scoring 20-plus points very well for the Lakers. They were the only two starters to score more than 7 points. Only Jameer Tyrell added 16 off the bench. So those 3 are going to be the big keys for the Lakers heading into the second week of the season. Let's see if they can, spread that wealth out a little bit and get more production off of the starters and some more off of the bench as well. And when I say that, I mean, a team only playing 1 game in the open week is hard to really measure them. We will see more of what the Lakers are about when they have the 3 games that they have this week. Speaking of teams that only had 1 game this week, let's go ahead and jump to Godfrey, Illinois, and Lewis and Clark. They debuted and turned back Missouri Baptist JV 97-90 in that game, despite 18 3-pointers by the St. Louis team. Armand Williams led the way for the Trailblazers in all the scorers in that game with 29 points. Adrian Elliott buried 5 trays, scoring 21 points, 12 of them with Jeff Daniels adding 12 and 10 by LT White. And I want to thank Dave Hunter, who gave me the statistics, because I couldn't find anything on if this game was a regular season game, if this game had stats, anything. I was looking all day today. I couldn't find anything, so I reached out to Dave. He was happy enough to give me his notes, so thank you so much, Dave. You made this so much better. And Lewis and Clark, they have 1 more game as well. So again, playing only 2 games the first 2 weeks, it's going to be really hard to tell what these Trailblazers are really made of going into district play here in a couple of weeks. Next team on our list, let's go ahead and jump to Mount Carmel, where the Warriors of Wabash Valley continue to be running gun type team. They opened the season against Greenville College, winning 135-93. And like I said, it's safe to say these Warriors are high flyers. They had 4 players with 20-plus points, led by Sean Nettles, who led the way with 31. Their second game was another 100-plus point beating Briska JV 113-82. This game was led by Jacoby Hetty with 26 points and Kashawn Casey with 23 of their own. And again, the Warriors are back to being a high-flying team. They had 2 games this week. You can kind of get where the new coach is wanting to go with this team. Again, 2 games down, 28 more to go. You have 2 more games this week. So let's see if they can keep on this pace of 100-plus wins. or scoring 100 plus points per game. Let's go ahead and see one of the teams in the Kiwanis Classic in the Shawnee Saints. Like I said, they had 2 games this weekend, both in the Kiwanis Classic. They opened their season against a very tough team from Tennessee and Columbia State. The shorthanded Saints only played 9 players due to injuries. They lost that game 71-45. Xavier Griffith scored 16 points and grabbed 12 rebounds to lead the Chargers in their second straight win. Torres Woods and John Gavin Allen had 10 points each for the Saints. Like I said, they only dressed 9 players, so Saints got 11 points out of Ashton Young, while A.K. Hensley had 10 points. So, injuries already for the Saints. They were able to bounce back in the second game against Malcolm X, built a 56-30 halftime lead, and they cruised the rest of the way, winning the second game against the Hawks, 88-66. Miles Lemon led all scorers with 24 points, had 15 rebounds for the Saints, and he was among 5 players in double figures. Ashton Young again had 18 points, and Travion Thomas pitching 6 well, while Devontae Davis and A.K. Hensley added 14 and 12 points respectively. Shawnee gets a little bit of reprieve. They only play 1 game this week, so it's going to be very interesting to see if these Saints teams can get healthy, because if they're healthy, I can guarantee you that they are going to be a very difficult team come March. Let's go ahead and go to Swick, and they started their season off with a 2-0, beating Missouri Baptist JV and Southeast Missouri Prep. Tuesday's game against Missouri Baptist was a tough one for Swick, where they battled back and forth in that second half. They were able to pull it out, winning 91-84. The Blue Storm had 3 players in double digits. Dre Boyd led the way with 26 points, and he was 11 of 14 shooting from the field, and he added 13 rebounds himself. Jacques Franklin added 19 points, and the last Blue Storm member was Jaden Lawrence, adding 11 points in the weekend series. The Blue Storm played 12 players, but I can see a good group of 8 really starting to develop here. Again, it's only 2 games, so it's really hard to tell, but a group of 8 is what you really need come district play, and I can kind of see, going by that box score, that group of 8 starting to form there for the team out of Belleville. From Belleville to Olney, and let's go ahead and see how the Blue Knights did in their opening 2 games. They only played 7 players in their Wednesday loss to Three Rivers. In JUCO, like I said before with Swick, you always want to have a rotation set. You want to have that set by district play, not by the first game of the season, really. So it is really rare to see that. Marshawn Dixon led the way, and Darian Lewis had 21 and 17 points respectively. They were also the only 2 Blue Knights in double figures, as they lost 78-66. But that's a very good Three Rivers team down in Poplar Bluff. So it's going to be I can see Poplar Bluff or Three Rivers winning 20 plus games in their season as well. Their next game that they played was against Indiana Elite Prep, and the North Idaho transfer Galvin Gilstrip scored 25 points to lead the Knights in their 95-72 home win of the Prep team. Delshawn Sims scored 14, and Marshawn Dickinson had 14 as well. Jacoby Thompson and Darren Lewis added 11 points each, and Cameron Hodge topped with 17 points, with Bryce Williams scoring 13 as well. And again, some of these I'm not able to find, but Dave Hunter, once again, came in through the clutch when it came to Olney and their game Saturday against Indiana Elite Prep. So thank you, Dave, for those notes, and I really appreciate it, as the Knights finish the first week of the season 1-1, and they will have 2 more games next week. Let's go ahead and recap the Lincoln Trail Statesmen. Man, they had a rough weekend. If we said that Logan's schedule was tough, Lincoln Trails was no slouch either. They opened up the season against a very good East Mississippi team, and they lose that game 71-65 in Kentucky. The game was tied at halftime, but the Lions broke away for the win, led by Andrew Mason, who had 16 points, while DJ Avery and Blake Butler added 14 points each. Lincoln Trail's Greg Jones took a game-high honors with 24 points, including 4 trays, while Clint Rickliff hit 3 trays of his own, scoring 10 points. The second game was today against Coahoma, and Lincoln Trail, after leading at the half, falls in overtime to Coahoma, 69-67. The leading scorers there for the Statesmen were Greg Jennings with 19 points, Clint Rickliff with 16, Nate Kegler with 10, and Chris Felix with 8 points. Very tough way to start the season for the Trailblazers, or for the Statesmen, and it doesn't get any area easier with 3 games this week. Alright. I stalled long enough. Let's go ahead and talk about my team, the Vincennes Trailblazers. They opened up against a very good, very tough Kankakee team out of District 4. I said last week Shiloh Jackson was going to have to be the team leader for the Blazers. He proved me right in this game. Against the Cavs, he had 17 points, 7 rebounds, and only took 8 shots from the field. Caleb Johnson was another Blazer that got into double digits with 11 points. He was 2 for 2 from behind the arc, and the team shot 29.4% from behind the arc. The biggest thing that I took away from this game that I could see being a bugaboo for the Trailblazers this year, it's not going to be the three-point shooting. Turnovers. They had 19 of them against Kankakee. And yes, Kankakee's a scrappy team. Like I said, I think they're going to win 20-plus games. They had to face another tough Region 4 team in Malcolm X and the Hawks in the first game of the Kiwanis Classic. But the Blazers were able to only turn the ball over 12 times in that game and get a 106-57 win. See what happens when you don't turn the ball over? You get a bigger margin of victory. They had 4 players this time in double digits, led by Tassos Cook with 20 points. And again, he only took 9 shots to get there. So he's really being able to see the floor, see what the defense is giving him, and making sure that his shot matters and it's going through the hoop. Vincennes had the final game of the Kiwanis Classic, and boy, oh boy, this one was big. And they turned out the lights in a big, big way with a 76-51 win against a Columbia State team. Like I said again in the Shawnee clip, that's a team that's going to win 20 games. I can almost guarantee you that team from Tennessee is going to win 20 games. The Blazers lost to that team last year, and they got revenge, finishing the weekend with 3-0. Tassos Cook again led the way for the Blazers with 19 points, and Chris King showed that the three-point shot is not a weakness for the Blazers this year, as he hit 6 of them, adding 18 points as well. And again, Dave Hunter said against Kankakee that was a weakness for this team, for the team last year, not for the team this year. And actually, Coach Franklin made a very good comment that he wants everybody to forget about last year's team, that last year's team was an anomaly, and that this year's team, he said, is, quote, back to normal. Back to the way the Vincennes teams from the past 9 to 10 years have been. And again, it's very early in the season. They played 3 games. They'll play 3 more games. But if they can come out and beat a very good Northeast Mississippi team, this will be a very interesting race come district play. I said I was stalling with Vincennes. I'm sorry, I gotta stall one more time, saving the best team for last. And this team had the hardest weekend in college basketball, in my opinion. The Logan Volunteers. Logan opened up their season against the Cardinals of Mineral Area. The Vols were able to get things started and get things clicking under new coach Tyler Smith-Peters, where they had 4 players in double digits, all starters, and James Dent off the bench adding 10 as well. USI transfer Isaiah Stafford and Crispus Attucks graduate Isaiah Stafford led the way for the Vols with 13 points in their first game. The second game, oh boy, you need to check this game out. I'll link this game down in the description below as well. This was a back and forth affair. Logan won the game in double overtime against the host Three Rivers, 99-95. Jones hit a 3 as time expired to tie the game at 76 to send it into the first overtime. Three Rivers laid it up with 28.9% or seconds left to go in overtime to send it to a second overtime before the Vols finally pulled away and they escaped Poplar Bluff with a 2-0 record. And again, possibly the toughest way to open a season going against Mineral Area and Three Rivers. But Logan was able to get it done, and they were able to go 2-0 on the weekend. They got 3 more games this week, and they are not easy whatsoever. But that's going to do it for the first week of games. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the games coming up for each team, and let's go ahead and start with Logan as well. Logan will play November 9th against Indian Hills at Logan. Then they will travel to Vincennes to take on the 21st ranked Northeast Mississippi team, and then they will finish in Vincennes against Macomb, who's a ranked team in Division II. So once again, ranked team in Indian Hills, ranked team in Northeast Mississippi, and a ranked team or receiving votes team in Macomb in Division II. Man, Logan did not make it easy on themselves to start the season. But good luck, Coach Smith-Peters, in the second week of the season, and let's see what your team is made out of. I'll see really what they're made out of at Vincennes. Speaking of the Blazers, let's go ahead and see what teams that they played this week. Like I said before, they have 3 games on the slate. They open up against Indiana Elite Prep on November 8th, and then they play Macomb on November 11th in Northeast Mississippi as part of that McDonald's Classic on November 12th with Logan. So, again, big test coming up for the Blazers against Northeast Mississippi. That's another game. Columbia State and Northeast Mississippi are 2 games that I circled at the early part of this schedule to see where this Blazers team is and if they really are, how Coach Franklin said, back to normal. Let's see if they can go 6-0 in the first 2 weeks of the season. And the reason I'm doing this video, and it will be up today instead of waiting until the polls come out later in the day, is because Kaskaskia plays 3 games this week. The first game is tonight against Southeastern Illinois College. Then they'll play Wednesday night against Greenville JV, finishing out on the road against Blackburn on November 12th. So Kaskaskia, like Vincennes, playing 6 games to open the season. We'll really see what the Blue Devils are going to be up to come district play after 6 games. Good luck, Coach Hancock and the Blue Devils of Kaskaskia. We've seen Logan play 5 games. We've seen Vincennes and Kaskaskia open the season with 6 games. Olney will play 2 more games to make their opening set of the first 2 weeks at 4 games. They will play November 8th, Election Day, against Bosco Prep, and then Parkland on November 12th. Again, a very good Parkland team coming into Olney to play against a Blue Knights team under a first-year head coach. It's going to be very interesting to see how these guys respond after getting hit in the teeth against Three Rivers and playing a prep team in Indiana Elite Prep. In my recap of the Lakers, I said you can't really define a team by 1 game in the first week of the season. Well, Lakers say, okay, how about 3 games? They'll face Illinois Central on November 9th, Kirkwood on November 11th, and Rock Valley on November 12th. So, yes, I will definitely be able to see how the Lakers handle business at home on all 3 of those games. And if they can become 4-0 on the season, the Lakers are going to be a very dangerous team in district play. Speaking of dangerous teams, can't mention dangerous without the Warriors of Wabash Valley. Like I said, can they keep up this pace of scoring 100-plus points? It's going to be very interesting. They face Danville area on November 11th and Harry Truman on November 12th for a total of 4 games to open up the season. And again, it's going to be very interesting to see if they can keep up this high-flying scoring process while at the same time playing some defense and getting some close wins. Danville area is no slouch of a team. They can come back and bite you if you're not careful. Now let's go ahead and go to Robinson, Illinois, and the 3 games that the Statesmen of Lincoln Trail have to play this week. And boy, it's not easy. They have to face Three Rivers. So Three Rivers gets to see 3 different district opponents in the first 2 weeks of the season. They'll take on Three Rivers on November 8th before going to Mount Carmel and being in that classic with Wabash Valley. They'll play Truman on November 11th and Danville area on November 12th. So again, no rest for the wicked as they play EMCC, a very good Kahoma team, and then Three Rivers to open up their season. Boy, the Statesmen do not get a break, and it's not going to get any easier going into district play, but I think that will be a good thing for the Statesmen as they have kind of been a 500 ball club, and again, they were 500 last year, so getting these good opponents to start out the year is very good for these young kids. Now we have a couple of teams in the district that only have 1 game this week, and both of these games are going to be on Saturday. Let's start with the Saints of Shawnee, as, like I said, they'll only play 1 game this week. Maybe they'll be able to get healthy and try to find their group of guys when they're at full strength, because I really do think the Saints team can be something special come district play. They just got to get healthy first. They'll face off against William Baptist on November 12th. And the final team that has a game this week are the Trailblazers of Lewis and Clark. Again, they only played 1 game last week. They'll only play 1 game this week against Lincoln Land on November 12th. So 2 games. It's really hard to tell what these Trailblazers are going to be about if they're able to pull out the win against the Loggers. But it will be very interesting to see as district play is right at the end of the month. Well, Swick played 2 games last week. They'll play 2 games this week. They'll start the week on November 9th against Mineral Area. And then on November 12th, they'll travel the little bit of ways into Missouri to face St. Louis JV. And it's going to be a very interesting week for the Blue Storm, as again, Mineral Area gets to face another District 24 or Region 24 District 16 opponent in the Blue Storm, and then getting to play St. Louis Community College is going to be very interesting to see if the Blue Storm can stay 4-0 on the year. That's going to do it for this week, and boy, I thought last week we had a lot of games. We're going to have a lot of games again this week. Multiple teams playing 3+ games, and then we got a couple of teams playing 2+ games. So it's going to be very, very busy week as we get into the start of district play. And once again, normally I'll try to get these out on Tuesday when we get a chance to see how the NJCAA and how JUCO Advocate and how JUCO Weekly rank these teams. Unfortunately, for Kaskaskia playing a game on Monday night, I have to get this video out so that game stays a little bit relevant. So we won't get to see any changes in the polling. Again, Vincennes will be in the receiving votes category. Only, even though they lost, will be in receiving votes. Again, personally, I think this is a travesty, but Logan's not going to be in any category for the NJCAA, but they'll be ranked number 9 in the JUCO Advocate, and I saw them ranked number 5, I believe, in JUCO Weekly. So again, the Volunteers are getting love, just not by the NJCAA polling place. But again, this can all change by the time the video is out later today. I want to get this out while I still have a couple of hours before Kaskaskia plays tonight. With that being said, this is going to do it for this week's episode. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the follow button, and hit the subscribe button, as again, I'm trying to make sure that we just shine a light on this district. This district is one of my favorite to watch all year round. Yes, I'm a Vincennes guy, so I'm going to follow this and follow Vincennes and hope they do well and hope they win and all this stuff. But as I was a manager in this district for 3 years, I've got to meet these other coaches, and these coaches care. And you can't say that about a whole lot of coaches in JUCO. These guys care about if their players make it to a 4-year school and do well in that 4-year school, not only on the court, but off the court. I will say that these 10 coaches are really something special, and that they are what the epitome of coaching should be when it comes to junior college. So, with that being said, I'm still going to be trying to get these guys in. I don't want to bug them when they have 3 games a week, so a lot of me talking. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, I'm able to get some guests on. But until next time, guys, I will see you